We're always told that AI is just this simple digital assistant, a finished product. But what's really going on under the hood is this incredibly complex neural architecture. And a lot of its true potential is actually held back by its own creators. So today, we're going to declassify 5 black box prompts. These are designed to bypass that official narrative and tap into the expert level logic that's hiding deep inside the machine. So the official story goes something like this. When an AI gives you a shallow or just plain wrong answer, hey, that's the limit of the technology. But the black box truth? Well, that's way more interesting. It suggests the limit isn't the machine at all. Nope, it's usually a failure in the user's protocol. Think of it like this. There are certain sensitive coordinates that are just scrubbed from public maps, right? They're completely hidden from view. Well, in the exact same way, an AI's most powerful logic is often tucked away behind this polite, helpful assistant interface. The real key is knowing the protocol to make it show you what's been redacted. And that, right there, brings us to our mission today. We are going to arm you with 5 declassified protocols. These are specifically designed to bypass that standard narrative and unlock a completely new level of interaction with these systems. All right, our first protocol is the identity override. Now, what's so fascinating here is how most people talk to an AI. They treat it like a totally blank slate. And guess what they get back? An empty, almost inflatable toy kind of response. It actually reminds me of the Ghost Army in World War II. They used deception to create this incredible illusion of power. We need to do the same thing, but for intelligence. So when you use an identity override like this one, you're not just, changing the AI's tone. You are fundamentally reconfiguring its internal priorities. You're telling the machine to unredact all that specialized training data that it normally keeps suppressed just to maintain its general purpose persona. Okay, let's move on to Protocol 2, the logic leak. Think about this. When NASA analyzed footage of astronauts falling on the moon, they didn't just watch the fall. Of course not. They studied the inertia, the mass, the physics behind it all to understand the environment. When you ask an AI for just an answer, you're only seeing the fall. You're not seeing the logic. This prompt literally forces the AI to leak its chain of thought. And here's the crucial part. By making the model show its work before it gives the conclusion, you stop it from taking lazy statistical shortcuts. It makes it almost impossible for the AI to hallucinate because every single step has to be justified on its path to the truth. Protocol 3 is the negative constraint wall. Now, you might not know this, but some places, like the Kangtega mountain peak in the Himalayas, are intentionally left off public maps. We have to apply that same exact principle to the AI's vocabulary. We have to create our own redactions. This protocol creates a kind of digital no-fly zone. By redacting all those generic words and fluffy styles you don't want, you force the AI to find higher quality, more direct, and frankly less traveled pathways to get you the information you actually care about. And this brings us to our 4th protocol, the recursive audit loop. Think of the X-37B, that robotic spaceplane. It's a system of constant refinement. It flies missions, it comes back, it gets serviced, it improves. Just accepting the very first answer an AI gives you is a huge mistake. Your prompting needs to be a system of refinement too. A prompt like this turns the AI into its own harshest critic. This second pass forces a level of self-correction that can give you up to 40% more accuracy than the initial output. You're basically weaponizing the AI's own logic against its own mistakes. It's brilliant. Finally, we've got Protocol 5, the context anchor. See, an AI that's just left to its own devices is drawing from a vast, and let's be honest, often polluted sea of public data. To get a precise result, you can't let it drift. You have to give it a specific territory of clean, raw information to work with. By injecting your own data, say your notes, a transcript, or a report, you create an anchor, and this prevents the AI from experiencing something called pareidolia. That's the tendency for our brains and an AI's neural net to see patterns that aren't really there. Like that famous Face on Mars photo from 1976. This protocol tells the AI to only report what's in the data, not what it imagines. So we have these 5 really powerful individual tools. But the real magic happens when you combine them into a single repeatable system. So let's build your field operations manual right now. And here it is, the black box workflow. It's a simple 5-step sequence. First, you assign the mask. defining that expert identity. Second, you set the walls by listing all the forbidden words. Third, you trigger the leak, demanding that step-by-step logic. Fourth, you deploy the anchor by giving it the raw data. And finally, number 5, you run the audit, asking for that crucial self-correction. That's it. That's your complete system. Okay, so let's debrief this mission. What have we really been talking about today? It all comes down to control. It's about shifting from being a passive user to being an active operator, someone who understands that effective communication is the only key to truly unlocking the machine. And that brings us to the core truth, really. In this new world, the most valuable results are often the ones you have to fight to see. Scientists on Mars once spotted this strange blotch on the horizon, and then it just vanished 2 hours later. It's a perfect reminder that what you see, especially from a machine, isn't always the full picture. And that is the ultimate takeaway. In this digital age, just believing what a machine tells you isn't enough. It requires a better protocol. We've given you one today. The only question left is, what's yours going to be?